So today we're going to make one of these reusable makeup remover cloths. All you need is some fabric and terry cloth as well. These are the pattern pieces if you do choose to print them out. I also included the measurements in the instruction guide. Really all you're gonna need for this project is these two. The square is for the terry cloth, and the patterned like cotton fabric that I reference is for like quilting cotton. You can really use whatever you want, but that is what I'm referencing in the instruction. After you're done cutting out your fabric, you're going to have 2 pieces of terry cloth and 1 piece of just whatever patterned quilting cotton you have. Next part of this, I am going to fold over my fabric. So wrong sides facing each other and right sides facing out. One of the square terry cloth pieces, take your folded piece and make sure that this folded over part is in the center. You don't want it like this because then your raw edges are going to be exposed, and we don't want that. So all the raw edges should line up here together, and we're going to put our second piece of the square terry cloth on top. And I do recommend pinning your fabric because the terry cloth will try to move around on you. Just to show you again, terry cloth, quilting cotton, terry cloth. If it does move around, not that serious, if it's not a perfect square. Okay, for the next part, we want to start sewing up here. Say you start right over here where this butterfly clip is. You're gonna sew all the way down, around, keep coming until you're on the exact opposite side. You'll stop right here, make sure you're back stitching at the start and the stop, and then we're leaving that big of a gap. Almost a 2-inch gap. Let's go sew that. To remove my pin because I don't want to sew over. Make sure we're back stitching and keeping about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're ending here, so back stitch. I'd recommend just kind of clipping, rounding out the corners. Getting rid of some of the bulkiness around all 4 corners. And I can just trim this down, but doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Now we can turn this out. It's best to start in the corners, so just kind of popping this bad boy up. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Flip this. I push up in my top corners because it might try to stick down a little bit. So make sure that all of your raw edges are like pulled all the way up and like even with each other. So all 3, I guess 4 raw edges are like lined up. Notice this has like a triangle, it's like a slanted shape. We're basically going to follow the shape that we started with the rounded corners. So just as this is kind of like a square shape, we're going to continue that. So just right where these curves start, continue that line down. Let me draw where I am going to do. That is essentially the line that I am going to sew. So we're going to have a lot here, but again, as long as these 2 pieces are pulled up, you should be good. Back stitch. And back stitch. We're just going to trim this up a little bit. And then put your thumbs underneath the cotton, the quilting cotton, and just flip it over just like that. That's exactly what your end result should look like. If for some reason you see your terry cloth kind of like your raw edge pulling away, where you went wrong is where I was telling you make sure all of your raw edges are pulled up, has slipped under. You might have to just go back, flip this back over, seam rip, and make sure again the raw edges are pulled all the way up, and try again. I used a heat erasable pen for this, so to remove that, I would just iron over it and that will get rid of that. You might want to consider doing a zigzag stitch if you're worried about your raw edges being exposed. That would help that. Otherwise, I think it's pretty cute. And then I made my weck jar pattern and just flipped over some of it so that it reached this height. I had just made so many of these when making the pattern for the weck jar that I was like, let's reuse these somehow. So this is what I ended up with. I made this cute little drawstring pouch as a means to wash my makeup remover cloths. If you guys would like to see that, I can do that in the next video. Just let me know.